As humans, we've done an impressive job staying on top of the food chain. We've built environments so safe and protected that we can rest easily without constantly looking over our shoulders. However, the story we're about to delve into reminds us that, without our technology and innovations, we're just fragile beings in the face of nature's true beasts. Hit that like button and subscribe now, because this story is about the prowling devils that terrorized a region in Kenya in 1898, the most notorious lions in history. The man-eaters of Tsavo and how one fearless man finally ended their rampage. Welcome to the channel. John Henry Patterson arrived in Mombasa, British East Africa, on March 1, 1898. He was greeted by the magnificent fortress of Fort Jesus, built to protect the city's residents. Mombasa, a vital port connecting the rivers to the Indian Ocean, had a bloody history. It was captured and recaptured by the Portuguese and sultans throughout the 1600s, changing hands at least 9 times. In 1895, the British finally took control of Fort Jesus and were determined to keep it that way. They decided to build a 1,000-kilometer railway across the land, starting at Mombasa and stretching all the way to Busha. This was why Patterson, a lieutenant colonel in the British Army known for his fearlessness, was sent there. He was commissioned by the London-based Uganda Railway Committee to ensure the British investment was on track. After spending nearly a week in Mombasa, Patterson finally received orders to oversee the construction of a bridge over the Tsavo River, which he was to complete before the railway was finished. Patterson rode the train out of Mombasa and was immediately struck by the lush vegetation of the area. However, upon entering the Taru Desert, the environment drastically shifted into something desolate and dead, perhaps foreshadowing the darkness to come. He arrived in Tsavo by sunset the next day, and could see the 8,000 Indian laborers camped 7 miles from the unfinished railway's end. That very evening, the first attacks occurred. When Patterson first heard of the reports of a lion attack, he dismissed them, suspecting that the missing worker had been murdered by his fellows for his wealth and thrown into the wilderness, as there was no corpse. However, this all changed after a terrifying incident. One of the first people Patterson met in Tsavo was Singh, an Indian warrior contracted to protect the railroad workers. One morning, Patterson was awakened by a frantic man telling him that an enormous lion had mauled and seized Singh. Patterson grabbed his rifle and rushed to the scene. Although the lion was gone, Patterson's suspicions were dispelled. The lion's paw prints were visible in the sand, and Singh's desperate furrows marked the direction where he had been dragged. According to a witness who had slept beside Singh, the lion had reared its head into the tent door, paralyzing him with fear before mauling Singh by the throat. Though Singh cried out, he was no match for the lion's powerful jaws. The witness could do nothing but listen to Singh's whimpers from outside the tent. Patterson tracked the creature and found Singh's remains, a gruesome sight of blood-soaked ground and pieces of flesh. The lion had left Singh's head punctured by vicious teeth marks, his eyes wide open in terror. Patterson realized there must have been 2 lions, as the tear marks on Singh's body suggested a tug of war. He buried Singh's remains beneath stones and took the head back to camp for identification by the medical officer. Despite tracking the lions further along the river, the footprints eventually vanished when soft sand met hard, rocky ground. That evening, Patterson attempted to hunt the lions. He sat in a tree close to Singh's tent, hoping the lion would return. Some terrified workers joined him, while the rest stayed in their tents. Soon, a series of sinister roars alarmed Patterson. The lions were back on the hunt. Being an experienced hunter, Patterson knew it was a waiting game. But screams from another camp a half-mile away interrupted his vigil. The lions had seized another victim, dragging him from his tent and mauling him to death. This pattern repeated itself, with the lions always one step ahead of Patterson. He tried stalking them during the day, but the dense jungle of Tsavo gave the beasts every advantage. As the attacks grew bolder, the lions began seizing workers from behind thick fences and even around campfires. The workers believed the lions were not mere beasts, but devils. At one point, Patterson woke to find footprints outside his tent. Recognizing his luck, he moved to a sturdier hut surrounded by thorn fences. Yet, the lions still managed to breach the barriers, taking another worker at night. The killings became so regular that men were taken from their tents every few nights. Eventually, the workers began fleeing Tsavo, halting the bridge's construction entirely. Colonial officials intervened, but they too faced the might of these creatures. Despite multiple attempts, including using workers as bait. However, Patterson's luck soon changed. Following a botched attempt, he propped a wooden stage near a donkey's carcass previously killed by one of the lions. That night, one of the lions stalked Patterson instead of the dead donkey. As it neared, Patterson fired, and after a struggle, the beast was dead. A few weeks later, he killed the second lion after 6 shots. The Tsavo man-eaters were no more. The construction crew returned and finished the bridge in February 1899. Although the exact number of people eaten by the lions is unknown, Patterson estimated the figure at around 135. He turned the infamous creatures into rug mounts before selling them to the Field Museum in Chicago. These lions, once believed to be devils in animal form, will forever be remembered as vicious beasts in the dark pages of Uganda Railway's history. Although we're the most intelligent creatures on Earth, we must remember that once we leave our protective bubble, we are still at the mercy of nature, always under the watchful eye of the apex predators lurking within it. Like, share, and subscribe for the latest updates. Stay tuned for more content. Thanks for watching.